you don't have money to replace. I immediately started thinking, how can I rectify this? Because the last thing I want to do is have to either not have a sweater, it's frost and it's cold, or try to buy a new one. So I looked for home remedies and thought one worked really well. And I quote unshrunk end quote sweater that I wore to class at Harvard Business School. And over the course of the day, it continued to shrink to the point where it was a crop top.
So you're a grad student, you're doing 50 things at one time, and you throw your sweater in with all the other clothes into the dryer. What happened next?
I said to myself, this can't stand. I need these sweaters. So that Harvard Business School had a program where they would give students $5,000 to start a micro business. And I convinced my 5 other classmates that this would be a brilliant idea. Why not? We have the money and time to tinker around for a few months and try to crack the nut on shrunken wool clothing. And thankfully, they agreed with me that it'd be more fun to do than a mobile app or a website. And so we started doing some research on what makes wool shrink. And Nate had a background at Johnson & Johnson during product development and was really comfortable looking at wool, just wants special as well as the legal protections to file a patent. And it got us through the summer in incorporating the business. It was only in the fall where we realized that the product actually had demand beyond our family members and friends, that we first did an internal round of fundraising amongst the founders, because if you're not willing to put a little bit of skin in the game as a co-founder, then, what are you doing? And that got us actually to the first sweater season, so September through May. We used our own funds to do that. It was only once we started to get interest from retailers and from international distributors that we said to ourselves, perhaps we should look for external funding. Now, remind the fact that once we graduate from graduate school, we're going to have loans and bills and families to provide for, and we should probably try to cover a salary. So that was the catalyst to looking for capital, and we looked at it in all the most traditional places with angel investors, with accelerators, with families and friends, and with MD as higher degree. So on the wall by the time I was filming at Shark Tank. So you felt as though you had the academic credentials behind you, but also a great deal of practice. Now, Shark Tank is a completely different animal, literally. The pressure of being on national television, the pressure of being in front of billionaires and multimillionaires, the pressure of knowing that you have anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours to make an impression about your product or your service, and they're going to judge you either very harshly or at least very critically about what you're doing.
So you mean you weren't on the carpet for only that 12 minutes that they showed on the TV show? Oh,
no. Nate and I were on that carpet for about 2 hours. So,
do you at least get a bathroom break or something? I don't know.
No. The thought is that they don't want you to be able to go and look at notes or to confer with one another. It's really supposed to be you in the pressure cooker. What do you do in a moment of intensity to really sell your product and to sell yourself?
So you've made the pitch. You've made 50 pitches before you got to Shark Tank. You're standing on the carpet for 2 hours. Can you talk to us about not necessarily, what...
I literally had a diploma right. They're asking you questions. There's a sense of impatience because their time is valuable and they want to find out as much as possible about you and the product as quickly as possible. And I recall thinking, I'm going to flounder here if I don't get my bearings, because I can't answer every question and I certainly can't answer overlapping questions. And so I told this to many people beforehand, and I'll just repeat it here, that I literally just stopped for a moment and thought to myself, well, if Mark, Kevin, and Damon ask a question at the same time, then why don't I listen for the questions, like truly breathe and listen and pick the question that I feel most prepared to knock out the ballpark. Instead of trying after question, they're overlapping and flowed from, I really had thought through how I wanted to answer it, and I thought we were going to represent us very well. And so it just continuously made us look better.
So you took control. Even though you weren't asking the questions, you took control in your mind and you said, hey, this is what we want to say about our business. And here it is. Here's the answer that I want to give you.
Exactly.
Okay. That's probably a good tip for anybody anywhere that's pitching, right?
Well, it's great advice. It's hard to take. And I want to say, had Nate and I not practiced 15, 20 hours a week for almost 2 months on those questions, pausing and playing different Shark Tank segments and making ourselves answer questions as if we were the founders ourselves, of creating fake VC sessions where people grilled us for hours on end and we had to answer the questions. And if we didn't have that foundation of practice, I don't think I would have had the balls. Well, I don't have balls, but
hey, you can say it. We're on the internet. It's okay.
Okay. I wouldn't have had the guts to do that. But because I knew if I did try to take control in it, I took control over things that I thought we were really well prepared to do, to highlight ourselves. That was why I was comfortable doing it. If you're not prepared, if you don't know your numbers, if you don't know your business, if you're trying to be a fake person, I can't tell you how many people, said that they were going to try to be a persona on Shark Tank. And Nate and I said no. Under pressure, particularly under pressure for an hour or 2 hours, you eventually have answers that I'm in, fill out the information.
Co-founder of Unshrink It, thanks for taking your time out on Radio for Small Business.
You're welcome.
Connect, capitalize, go. All new Radio for Business.
It's the podcast for business.
After that, I'm not doing people's lunch dishes.
Highlighting the best emerging talent.
Awesome.
Awesome. Desiree Stoller. The podcast for business. I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast for business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
All new Radio for Small Business. Put your mouth where your money is. Radio for Small Business with HomeBiz.
It's Radio for Small Business, HomeBiz.com. Your host, Eugene Rowe. My next guest has luggage that, on behalf of our team, I'd
do that nobody really has done. Basically, we make durable, lightweight luggage that you could fold up and store easily in a drawer, on a shelf, under a bed, things like that.
And that makes sense. I literally have a whole corner full of luggage, and you can't fold it, you can't throw it under anything, and I've got a whole corner of one of my offices full with just empty luggage sacks. So that's a great idea. So
thank you.
What part of the world are you in, by the way?
I live in New York.
I know that eventually your business was able to get to the point where you were able to kind of start with raising capital and things like that, because I know some people have seen you on ABC's Shark Tank. Can you tell us about the journey to raising capital? Not necessarily the show, but the journey that you took to start
with before we came along.
So, and that's interesting. Most of them say, for instance, a Target or a QVC or somebody, and they automatically send the money. But it could be quite a while before, purchasers actually send you the cash, right?
Yeah, it could be 60 days or even as much as 90 days.
So when it comes to, I know you said you guys don't borrow necessarily. That's not your business model. There are probably a million people that would call you crazy. Tell us about the mindset or the thought process behind not borrowing against your company's assets.
Every business is different, and I wouldn't not
like that. Let's go back into, the raising capital, more of the mindset when you ended up on ABC's Shark Tank. What's going through your head, and what are you trying to